Hi, I'm Jessica Brown, Mrs. Colorado Universal 2021, here with another episode of Powerhouse Paper Dolls Beyond the Barbie, looking at beautiful women below the surface who inspires the women who inspire us. Today with me is Layne, Ms. Wheelchair Colorado 2020 and 2021, because COVID has extended all of our reigns. Welcome. Thank you so much for being with me.
Thank you, Jessica. It's good to see you.
So we started talking that you are not a pageant girl by trade. How did you get into this?
Well, it was just by chance. I was able to make a change in my community and put in some pool chairlifts at the rec center that I go swim in. I love to swim. And when I found out that I rolled in and I couldn't get into the pool, it was disappointing. And I am a paraplegic. I'm paralyzed from my chest down. You can't see me sitting in my wheelchair, so you would never know that I can't walk. But I can't walk. I'm a person with a disability. And part of that is the challenges that we face every day. And one of those was trying to get into the pool that I loved for 20 years to get into and swim. And I was a little disappointed when I couldn't because the chairlifts didn't work. So I advocated for new chairlifts to be placed, and they were placed, and now I can go swimming. And it really empowered me to know that I made a change. Not only for me as a person in a wheelchair, but for the seniors that have a hard time getting in and out of the pool, for anybody who's struggling, who's had a knee replacement or a hip replacement. I'm a nurse. My career has been nursing forever. So education is huge and advocating. And so it happened. I was able to get in, and that's what led me to Miss Wheelchair Colorado, is that I want to make changes and advocate, educate, and be a part of, now that I'm in the world of those with disabilities, is to move forward and be powerful in that and empower women in wheelchairs as well.
And you didn't just step up as the title holder, you have a much larger role, don't you?
I do. I took on the responsibility of starting the Miss Wheelchair, continuing. I said it kind of fizzled out over the last couple years, but I am going to try to bring it back as much as I can, as good as I can, and have a pageant maybe the end of next year, 2021. So that's my goal, is to get this up and running and to allow other women in wheelchairs to be contestants in the next pageant.
I love that so much. There's some women who, grew up in pageantries, and it's always been the hobby. I've been competing most of my adult life. And I love talking with women who, it's like you said earlier, it's out of your comfort zone. This isn't, what you've always done for fun. This is something that you stepped out to do, and now you're inspiring other women to do it. And what I love about your inspiration story is the power of a letter, that the power of one voice. That's so much what I'm trying to demonstrate with these videos, that I think it's the human condition to feel kind of alone and powerless. But I want to show the connection between all of us and the things that we can do with just our own single voice. And your story gives me goosebumps, that you just stood up and insisted that they do what's actually required of them. But the lives that's going to change, the people who rely on the pool, like you said, not just disabilities, but people recovering, people, elderly, it's people who can't work out other ways. Right. And my father's one of those, that he, with the health issues that come with growing older, the pool is it. And it was shut off to all those people, and you opened it up. I think that's really cool. So who has inspired you, Chris?
I have a friend who has been my mentor, Trisha Downing. She was also paralyzed 20 years ago from an accident. And a lot of us in wheelchairs that are paralyzed are doing things that we love to do. I was hiking at Clear Creek Canyon out of Golden, and a slip of my feet. I had some loose gravel under my feet that made me slip and fall 80 feet down the canyon. As I landed at the bottom, it shattered my thoracic 7 vertebrae, which left me paralyzed. So, just doing something that I love. And a lot of people are just out having fun, and 1 second changes our lives forever. And Trisha has been one of those. She's an author, she's a speaker, she will be in the Paralympics as a shooter. She was the first female to ever finish the Ironman in a wheelchair.
Oh, no
So
kidding.
no, she's a big inspiration for me, whether she knows it or not. She's got 2 books out. And it's just when you read somebody who has that ability in a wheelchair. I read her book 2 months after I got out of the hospital, and I thought, if she can do it, I can do it. So
Yes.
it led me to venture out and start hand cycling. Now that we can't use our feet, we
Yeah.
have to think of other ways to get out and do things. So swimming, I love. Hand cycling, I'm starting to love. I used to be a huge volleyball player, but I can't do the volleyball, so that's okay.
Isn't there a para volleyball team?
There is, but it's just too hard on my shoulders and my arms. And when you're sitting, you have to be able to push off with your 1 foot. And I just don't have that ability. So I go watch it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and what I have found, we spoke briefly before the interview. I was sharing a bit with you with my chronic pain journey. And what I found was that there was a whole subculture that I wasn't aware of, before I entered this part of my life. And what has really helped me through this is the community, the spoonies that we so lovingly call ourselves, but reaching out to other people who, are using up their spoons to get dressed, and the normalcy of what life like this looks like. Because I felt crazy. I felt crazy going through what I was going through when I was just surrounded by people who just didn't understand.
Sure.
And it sounds like not just Trisha, but you have found a community as well. Did you start right away reaching out to people in the para community?
It's really taken me a while. The first year was so difficult mentally and physically, just weak, not able to transfer myself from my chair. And after that first year is when I was thinking of swimming and doing things to clear my mind and to strengthen my body. And it was about three and a half, not till recently did I really start getting out and reaching out to others in the community, hand cycling group. I found out there's a lot of hand cyclers out there that I can get out and meet. And I should have done it earlier this summer, but COVID has put a damper on so much.
Yeah.
That now moving forward, I'm just going to get out and do whatever I can, because I can do a lot even in a wheelchair.
Absolutely. Well, and that's what we talked about with this interview series as well, that right now we're so physically isolated that it just really compounds mental, spiritual, and emotional isolation. And now that you mention it, it did take me a year to look into a community. And I think that first year was really resisting that this was going to be something, that it just, this is going to pass. I got sick September of 2018, and I was signed up to do a pageant in March of 2019. And I thought, wow, this will be done by then. And I didn't even start training for the pageant until about a month out. And I realized, all right, this is how I'm going to compete. I'm going to be doing this in pain. So let's move forward. But it took a really long time for me to allow my condition to be part of my self-concept. And once I did, that's when I found the community. So I think that's
I've accepted my paralysis. I've accepted I am a person with a disability. And once you accept it, then life goes on. But if somebody is in denial, I've never been angry or upset that I'm paralyzed. Why? There's nothing I can do to change that. So I just have to do the best I can in the state I am, whether I have challenges or not. We all have challenges in our life, right? Everybody has a challenge or a tragedy or a loss.
Yeah.
I lost 3/4 of the use of my body. That's pretty big, but
that's a big loss. And it's tangible. It's physical.
It's tangible.
And
people lose loved ones. People, there's just so much loss even that you hear now.
Yeah.
I'm not alone. I know everybody has their own losses. So I just appreciate that I have me and my arms, my brain, and I can still live life and enjoy life. So have a good life.
I put you in the lineup. You were right after the trans women who are leaders in their community, and their lives have had have had chapters and the way that they're living their lives in this authenticity, and being leaders in their community, reaching out to other women who are experiencing the same changes in life. And I love that aspect of your story, that this isn't just something that happened to you. This is something that was a chapter in your life, and this new chapter in your life is going to look different, but you're not going to let it be the end of you. I mean, you have this incredible story post-accident, just leading women, inspiring women, continuing with your journey and your story, and talking openly about it. And it's that kind of raw strength that I find the most inspirational and influential. People just living their truth and doing it in a way that impacts others, and it impacts people. I mean, even me, I'm finding so many things that I relate to, and so many things that personally, strike a chord with me. So what you're doing matters. I mean, it really matters to everyone you speak with. And you also had in common, what was your favorite sound? Was it babies laughing?
Yeah, just babies giggling and children laughing and birds chirping, the
sounds of life.
Yes, sounds of life.
Oh, I love that. And also, where you wanted to travel was Iceland and New Zealand?
Fiji,
yes.
Yeah,
Fiji has been on my list since I saw a pamphlet for it when I was a child.
Oh,
oh my goodness.
I imagine being in one of those huts looking down in the ocean and
with the hole in the floor.
Having a massage.
That is exactly it. Oh, I cannot wait. Our national pageant is in Thailand next July.
Oh, wow.
I've never been anywhere around the world. I mean, I have gone to Mexico, to resort towns, so I didn't see as much culture as I would have liked.
Yeah.
So if I make it to Thailand, that is going to be incredible, really incredible. My goal with dance has always been, I teach dance fitness in all styles, and my goal has been to travel the world, incorporating cultural dances into my program so that I can teach people about other cultures through dance. So it's about time I start traveling.
There you go. I lived in Brazil for a year when I was younger.
Oh my goodness.
Between high school and college. So I'm very fluent in Portuguese, and I have lots of friends and all in Brazil.
Oh, that is on my list.
It changes your life. I was 19 years old when I lived in Brazil, and it was the best year of my life to not only mature, but to learn, cultures, dance, language, to know poverty, true poverty and true wealth. It's a divided country that the poorest of poor you see and the richest of rich. So as a 19-year-old, yes, that was very much
mind-opening.
Yes.
My paternal grandfather was Portuguese. And so my father took this pilgrimage trip to Portugal to go trace his roots. And it was this big thing. And then he gets there and finds out that my grandfather was Brazilian Portuguese.
Oh, big difference. Big
so we need to take a trip to Brazil.
Yeah.
So you've lived in Brazil. Have you lived anywhere else around the world?
Not
or around the country,
but I've traveled a lot of places. Yeah, Europe, Spain is my absolute favorite country, and so far, just a lot of traveling through Germany and Netherlands, things that mostly Europe and Brazil.
Oh, I can't wait. I was a young mom, so my traveling is going to be in my 40s and 50s.
There you go.
So I turned 40 this year, and my first big trip is to Ecuador next month. So now that today, actually, my oldest turns 22 today.
Oh, my son turns 21 on Wednesday. It was
how funny.
It was his birthday was the day I fell. We were celebrating his birthday, his 17th birthday 4 years ago. And I was like, what are you going to do for your birthday? He says, a few of us are going to go rock climb at Clear Creek Canyon. And I said, well, can I go join you? And the reason I wanted to join him is because if any of them got hurt, I wanted
to be there as a nurse.
Be there as a nurse and help and call 911. And guess what? 7 steps into our hike, they were calling the first responders for me. So I was the one that got hurt. I fell 80 feet down Clear Creek Canyon. I lost, some gravel under my feet. That's all it was, loose gravel.
Just like that.
Just like that, took me down. I rolled like a log, and fell 80 feet, which is 8 stories. If you think about an 8-story
Oh.
apartment complex, that's how far. And most people don't survive an 80-foot fall down a mountainous terrain.
Yeah.
Obviously I did. I'm here talking to you. So when I hit the bottom, I shattered my T7 vertebrae and it left me paralyzed from my chest down. So
How did that affect your son, that it was his birthday?
he has not lost determination. He's not lost who he is. I think it really made him have a different direction in life. He's a cadet at the Air Force Academy. He's a junior, and he wants to be a helicopter pilot. And come to find out, he wants to be a first responder. And it just, one night I had this aha moment. Wait, helicopter, first responder. Yep. I think that happened the day I fell. Yep. And
did Civil Air Patrol rescue you?
It was the Golden Fire Department and then the Flight for Life from St. Anthony's Hospital, because they flew me directly over to St. Anthony's, where.
And that's the work he'll be doing.
I think so. So we'll see what direction it leads him in the future.
I'm so glad to hear that.
He's got to get through college really first and graduate and get through all that. So I'm just proud of him that, you know, he's always wanted to be down at the Air Force Academy. His dreams had never gotten in the way of what happened on October 28th. So I think maybe it made him a little stronger. It's made me stronger in a different way. As far as, you know, advocating. I never thought in my life I would be in a wheelchair at 50, but also be doing what I'm doing, having Miss Wheelchair Colorado sash on me and getting out and talking to people, so, which I enjoy.
Well, we also mentioned before we started recording that the sash is like credentials, you know, that string of letters that come after your name that give you the credibility. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. BSN, you have to go through an education, and this shows that, you know, I have some ground to stand on. And I use my crown and sash as my platform, as my microphone. And every time I'm talking to kids, I definitely wear the crown.
Oh, yes.
It garners the attention to get your message out, and you have a very strong message. Which leads me to the thesis of this whole thing, and that's asking you what you want your legacy to be. How do you want to be remembered?
Well, I want to be remembered not just as a Miss Wheelchair Colorado, you know, pageant winner. I want to be as a humble, friendly person to advocate for others in need, and not just in wheelchairs, but I've always been a caretaker as a nurse. And one of those things is I was taking care of patients for a long time, being by them. When the tables turned and I am the one that is having to be taken care of, that was really hard for me to accept the care and to ask for help. No matter if it's just health-wise, if it's mental health-wise, if it's anything, is we all need help. It takes a village. We all need loved ones around us. And so I want to be that person that is the one that people can come to. I'm a peer mentor. I talk to patients at Craig Hospital, just letting them know life doesn't stop because we're paralyzed. We could just keep on going. So that's the legacy I want to leave is, you know, ask for help, be there for other people, be kind, and be humble.
Yeah, that's beautiful. As long as there's life in us, there's life to live.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Chris, thank you so much for joining me. This was a really inspiring interview. And I started this series trying to show connection to everyone else. And it has really ended up being very connecting for me at a time that I didn't realize how isolated I felt, because I'm surrounded by people, but I was allowing how I was feeling to shut me off. And this series has been.
You can be surrounded by 1 million people and still feel lonely.
Yeah.
And that's how all of us have felt during this pandemic is we know the people around us love us dearly, but we're still in isolation and solitude. So I think we've all felt a little bit lonely through all this as well.
Definitely.
And what I compare this to is Everybody in the whole world now, they were shut down. They couldn't go out. They couldn't socialize. They couldn't go to work. They were at home. They were not stuck at home, but yeah, told to stay home.
Yeah.
People with disabilities and elderly, that's their life every day.
Yeah.
If they can't
People
get
are
out,
going out of their minds in a format that many people already live in.
they can't get out. They feel isolated every day. Our elderly, think about those that are living alone and no family and very little connections. All their friends have passed away. Everybody in the world can now experience the people
Absolutely.
that can't
Having
get out.
insight into that experience. That's why I started Project Pen Pal, connecting volunteers, writing letters to isolated elderly. I think that now more than ever, and it just needs to be, frankly, it needs to be a big shift in our society. We don't take care of our elderly the way that we need to.
Right.
We're so individualistic to our detriment. And I'm hoping that this experience that we are all going through together, I hope on the other side of it, that there is more of a communal obligation. There is more of a connection to one another. And there's a realization that my life is not just about me. It's not about me getting up, going to work, paying my bills, worrying about, I mean, we have plenty of stuff to worry about, the tyranny of the urgent, but there's stuff that's not urgent, that's important. And that's taking care of those who are isolated, those who are struggling, and just being aware of it. And I'm hoping that this unified struggle gives way to more of a connection as a community, as a culture in general.
Yes.
Well, thank you again for joining me. I am Jessica Brown, Mrs. Colorado Universal 2021. This is Chris, Ms. Wheelchair Colorado 2020 and 2021. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.